first question I'm going to ask you guys is, have you ever been through a storm? And I'm just talking about one that gets your socks wet, and that is miserable. But a one where you set out, because let me tell you that once they start going out, they keep going, and then they make this decision, hey, I'm going to keep going. Remember, they were like, but some people said to keep going. I don't think we should go, but then they decide to go anyway. And they're trying to port here, which is in Phoenix. But then that storm picks back up, and it starts, right? So now they're going all crazy all over the board. We don't exactly know where they are. I'll take the ship back if you got it. Look at that shipment. Thank you, buddy. What do you use on a ship to keep your breath mints, shipments? Breath mint shipments, so your breath doesn't count. I'm going to throw that joke overboard. So here we go. So we got Paul. He goes all the way here. Now he's being tossed and turned by the storm. He was along Crete. He was along Crete, and he kept going. They kept going. So you ever been in a storm? And what happened in the storm is when you think you're about to hit. I learned all these nautical terms, by the way. I don't have any time to explain any of this. So this. I told Pastor Jim this is a 4-hour sermon. Probably turn into a second part later because there's just so much. But
that's why he's talking fast.
Yeah, I am talking fast because there's a lot to talk. I don't want the thing to turn off. So if it does, please let me know so we can pick it up. But there's jetsam, there's flotsam. Jetsam is stuff that you throw off the boat and it sinks. Flotsam is stuff that floats on top. It's also a pair of eels in Little Mermaid. But basically, what you do, you have a couple of different ways that you can protect the ship. You can frack the ship. That's a joke for those people who are in fraud prevention. That joke to me is called fraud application frack. It's a frack. Nobody's going to get that joke but like 2 people. So they frack the ship. When they throw stuff over, it's like, why do you throw stuff over? They throw stuff over because it makes it lighter. So that if you're going into shallow shores, you're not going to run into the shores because your ship is lighter, so it goes up. Wow, I learned something new about ships. There you go. If nothing else, that was not you learned today. You learned flotsam, jetsam, and fracking. So there's a lot of different things that you can do when you're in that storm, and when it gets really bad, you resort to these crazy situations where you either wrap yourself up tight, which is what frapping is, making sure the ship doesn't break, or you lose the things that you've had. They lose the equipment and they lose the grain. By the way, they throw both over, the equipment and the grain, so that both the ship owners and the merchant both share in what was lost. So nobody just gets the shaft, gets the short end. So I did not know that. I learned that. So, and actually, by the way, there's so much here I wish you didn't know. By the way, this account of a storm and shipwreck was so accurate that many non-theologian, just people who were learning about antiquities, took so much from this particular story of what happens in shipwrecks because it was preserved so well. And there's even there's a museum on the island that they end up that has what they think could be these specific anchors that were dropped at the 90 feet. Remember I said at 90 feet. Around 90 feet, they found 4 anchors that matched the Roman ship that they were on. It's all crazy. So anyway, oh, there you go. Homework. All right. So, but you ever been in a storm? A storm that was so bad, not just you were affected, but the things that you were trying to preserve, the things that you had, the equipment you had to throw it over. You lost the things that you set out to get. The one that doesn't let up, because remember, it kept going. At some point it describes it was 14 days, and that was from the point that it mentioned. A storm that you feel like you've lost your bearings. Remember, it said that you could not see the sun or the moon because the clouds, you couldn't get your bearings, and that's how they got their bearings, guys. They looked up in the sky and they used the stars. If there's no stars, you didn't know where you were. You ever been in a storm where you lost the things you were trying to protect? A storm where you've been there for so long you didn't know when it would end? A storm where it was a situation where you literally did not know where you were? A storm that says we finally gave up all hope from being saved. You ever been in a storm like that? Maybe 2020 was a storm like that. Maybe 2022, 2021, 2019. The last couple of years have been storms, guys. I mean, we all may not have gone through the same type of storm. And recognize storms look different to different people. What I might call a storm, you might not. What you might call a storm, I might not. So we have to recognize that storms are subjective to the person. So we can't judge somebody else because they're going through a storm and let them judge us because our storms are different. But I guarantee you, if you look last year and the past couple of years, we've all gone through some type of storm. And a lot of us have come through these storms where we lose all hope. And remember that when Paul started this journey, it wasn't a full-fledged storm when they started. It says a gentle wind began to blow, right? Like that romantic song I was talking about. And they saw the opportunity. When it stopped, a different wind started to blow. And so like, okay, so good, so we can go. This is the go-ahead. So, and let me say this, and they were safe, because you see that this is along the coast. They weren't being reckless, guys. They were being strategic. Even the people who were taking risks were still making calculated risks. This is a calculated risk. And then going alongside Crete. Remember that word, it's coming back up. Crete. And the thing is Paul